Hey, it's so exciting. I finally get to color this one. Woohoo! I can't wait. So, right now I'm going to be working on the whatever. I'm going to start coloring. I have my Copic markers here. So I will show you guys my set. Here is my Copic markers. I have been collecting them for 5 years now, I think. So it's been a while. I started out with just one set of grays and then slowly started adding in colors. Pretty much, between 1 and 5 at a time, except for one time where I really splurged and went all out. But in general, these are the colors that I have, and it takes a long time to make a Copic set. So, if you have a smaller amount, don't get bummed because it's one of those things that unless you have like a few grand to spend in one shot, just get them here and there, and then you'll have a full set eventually. I do not have the full Copic coloring set at all. I have, I think, 160 something markers, and the total amount that you can have is over 350. So I don't have the full Copic set, nor do I plan to. I don't really see the need. This is more than I need in general. And I pretty much can color anything now that I need to because I have enough green and yellow or whatever to make whatever color I need. I still probably don't have the perfect set of purples, but other than that, I'm pretty much set. So anyway, here we are. This is the piece, and I just forgot that I have a Post-it in my portfolio with all the color notes, so hold please. I know I made notes, yes. Okay, I talked with the man that this is for, and I got some information from him as far as the colors that the firefighters are, or in general, these are the colors that I should try to stick to. Like, universally, firefighters always wear a navy blue t-shirt. That was news to me. So that's something that I will make sure to incorporate, and I can't just wing it and decide that I'm going to do something else and then find out later that nobody wears that colored on. So anyway, I've got those. Hi Kylie, hi Jason, hi Tim. Thank you so much, you guys, and thank you for being here. I'm not sure when Game of Thrones begins, so if you all need to scuttle off and go watch Game of Thrones, that's a-okay. But anyway, for those of you who are here, thank you so much. So I'm going to do a time-lapse film of this one, because I figure this might be a little more fun to watch later on for anyone who can't make it. But yeah, 11 by 17 commission pieces are always a little bit more nerve-wracking for me. Somehow the size of the paper and the amount that you need to cover is a little bit more complicated. Like right here, her stomach, on an average commission piece where I usually work on a blank or 8.5 by 11, this bit of stomach would be about half the size. So that's a lot easier to fill. It's a lot easier to make the stomach look good. So this is going to be a challenging piece to color. But that being said, I'm very excited. So we're gonna have a good time. Oh, thank you, Mr. E. Hey, Scott. Hey, Jason, White Cat, JG Art, Philip. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see you all here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support always. I am very, very grateful, truly. And I hope that you have a fun time watching this show. I'm excited. All right, I want to try to get a decent amount of this now. It's always the fun guesswork of where to put the camera in a way that it's not covering my face for you guys. All right, we're gonna do it like that. And just hope it's getting enough. I have mine coffee. I've discovered instant coffee in cold milk is quite delicious, and I'm loving it. Oh my God, 85-inch TV. That's terrifying, Scott. All right, well then, at least it's good. Hopefully, today I look a little more human than usual. We have been having some trouble with our camera setup. Not because there's anything wrong with the cameras, but the best cameras that we can find, Dragon1611, thank you for the follow. But the one issue is mostly computer related, because the best webcams that we've found as far as price, they cost next to nothing, and then as far as quality, they work really, really well, is the Logitech C920, I think it's called. There's a problem though when you have two that are the exact same model. So it kind of fucks with your computer's head a little bit. So it's taken Dan, because I'm useless when it comes to all of this stuff, it's taken him a little while to try to figure out exactly how to work them so that we can do the settings. So he did a ton of work on it yesterday to get it ready for the stream today, because it's just, I've been extremely blown out where like my face is just glowing in the dark, which because I'm so pale, that happens. And then also we were having some blurring issues. So anyway, hopefully today, at least to me, it looks so much better. I actually look human. So it's good, and I'm so grateful to Dan for doing all the work, because I'm absolutely useless. Okay, it's gotta have sugar. Hello, Fleeting Infinity. Hey, Fishing Iron. All right, so I have my hex chart like usual, and I will be referring to it when needed. So I will be working on finishing up everything, because there's only a couple things colored. So I'm just looking at all the different notes. Okay, so tan pants, black knee. I need to do there's some, down here at the bottom of her pants, there's some neon striping that I'm gonna need to put in. So I'll show you guys right there. So this needs to be with neon stripes. The suspenders, I can do red. The blade is metal. The axe is yellow or wood grain, so I'm probably going to do yellow just because the majority of the ones that I saw were yellow. So anyway, I do have a little list here of notes that I took when I talked with him about all the coloring. Yeah, thank you, Kylie. I appreciate you backing me up on that one. All right, so I'm just gonna put the hex chart over there for now. All right, so it's time to stop talking and get to coloring. Oh, DC, hi. I'm so happy you could make it too, Phasma Star. That's awesome. All right. Oh, since Kylie is here, I was gonna wait for Kylie and a few other people to make it. So all of my usuals are here, which is awesome. Thank you guys. After I went to Free Comic Book Day yesterday, the art store was on the way home, like legit on the way home. It wasn't like sorta kinda on the way home, it was. So I went to the art store and got some stuff. So I wanted to show you guys my haul. my colored pencil set that I got did not come with skin tones. Thankfully, you can buy the pencils on their own as well at the art store. So I got skin tones and a red, because my pencil set also did not come with a red. It came with, like, think Red Sonja's red hair. So a bit more on the orange side. So I got an actual red and a couple skin tones set, you know, so I can do darker skin, pale skin, and then a few colors in between. I really like this kind of mauve color, like a ashy mauve. It's basically E70/E71 that I use for sort of the darker shadows on skin tone. It's like a purpley tone. So yeah, I have these that I got, and the art store has my loyalty because they give, if you can prove that you've done art as a job, they'll give you like 10% off your order always, which is awesome. What number is the purpley pencil? Hold please. It is, I think you read it this way. It's 866. All right, I got another palette. These cost a whopping $1.99 because I filled it with the Copic ink last time and I couldn't get it out. I needed another acrylic paint pen in this lime green for Ivy's hair and stuff. You know, the ivy in Ivy's hair, Joker's hair. I needed it for that, and mine that I had already doesn't, I don't know, it's chalky. Like when I try to put the paint down, it's not mixing properly. So it's kind of dried out / really weird. So anyway, I got a new one of those. My little Sumi brush thing that I used for dusting away my pencil shavings was no longer there. So I got this thing, and it was in the like Japanese, Chinese painting area, and they had big wide ones or smaller ones like this. So I thought this would be perfect for dusting away eraser shavings, especially when I travel, because this doesn't fit in my pencil case. So I got this little guy, and it costs like $3. So I thought that was an excellent use of $3. And Yupo paper. So this is the paper that I actually need to use for that blow art thingy that I wanted to try, where I use the little, where is that guy? Oh my God. Well, anyway, that little thing that I can use to blow the ink around, this thing. So this is actually the paper that you're supposed to use. It feels just like paper. It's extremely smooth, but it is synthetic, so it's plastic actually. So I got a small little pad of it just because I want to test it out. It may not be for me at all. So this way it's a little cheaper. It still was almost $10, but yeah, it's a little cheaper. I can try it out, test it, and then if it works for me, great. If not, then no harm, no foul, because it's just small. Let's see, what else did I get? I got this eraser that was recommended by the guy who's doing the inking for Greg Capullo now, and he said that this eraser doesn't pick up the ink. So like when you try to erase over something that you've inked, it'll lighten your ink lines as well. And apparently he said that this eraser doesn't do that. So I thought I'd give it a shot. It's the first actual rectangular normal eraser that's not in a holder that I've bought in like 7 years. I never use actual erasers. I use my little stick click erasers, but this one, I'm gonna give it a shot. It makes it less porous, Jason, so that everything can kind of smear along the surface, and then, you know, it takes longer to dry, but That's the problem that I was having when I did that giant fail test run with you all, is that it would the Copic marker was just going right into the paper. I need it to glide on the top of the paper to make that smooshy look. And Kylie, I got RV99, like you told me to. So I'm gonna try that out sometime. Whoop whoop. Oh, hello, Edofran. Yes, I'm so excited to try this one. Okay, so that was my art haul. I was rather restrained. I was a good girl. I didn't go completely crazy. Okay, so now I actually need to get to drawing, or, you know, I will not have had any art done. Okay, just putting away some of the stuff. I can't wait to try out this eraser. It looks really awesome. All right. So I haven't fully unpacked my art stuff. I have my pencil case that I got at a yard sale for 10 cents, literally. And it's the best pencil case I've found yet, because it's not trying to be fancy and, in my opinion, ridiculous like most pencil cases are these days. This is literally just a box that zips closed. I don't like these ones where you have to individually slot all your shit back inside. I mean, who has time for that? Hello, True Deadman. Hello, Tony. Oh, yes. That would be so much fun, Kylie. All right, so I'm not going to start with her skin right now. I'm going to maybe do her helmet or maybe her pants. I need to get going. Build confidence for skin. However, skin is going to be one of the things I'm going to have to do before I do her shirt, most certainly, because her shirt is navy blue, and if I try to color around the navy blue, I'm gonna pull it and streak it into her skin. So the skin has to be done before her shirt is done. Hello, Dan and Lyndon. I love you guys. No, thank you, Kylie. Right, Kylie? I'm telling you, lately I feel like everyone who's designing pencil cases, barring a few who I may not be aware of, and I don't want to make a generalization, but I feel like most pencil case company creators need to be fired and be like, clearly you're not using these. Clearly you have no intention of ever using these. And as such, bye-bye then. Because literally, this pencil case I got for 10 cents at a yard sale. I've never been able to actually find the company that makes them. Maybe they went out of business, but it's the best pencil case I've ever found. And I go to every art store all over the place, and just, it's all a giant no. Vent over. Oh, thank you, baby. Thank you so much for fixing the camera. You're amazing. Thank you, Mr. E. And Kylie, you guys are awesome. I'm actually kind of surprised by this color. It wasn't what I was intending to do, but I'm so much happier with it. I was going more for your normal ginger hair tone because everybody loves a redhead. And it went more auburn, and I'm really happy with it. So that's like, it was a pleasant surprise / happy accident. Woot! Thank you, Jason. Yay. All right. So let's see. What should I start with to kind of ease myself into the situation? Let's finish up this. So I'm going to finish up the fire hydrant for starters. Mubot didn't post your post? What happened, Kylie? All right. So for my reds, I used these ones this time. I think. I'm always getting the R39 and R59 confused, and I don't know which one I used. And I did clean my reds like a month or two ago, if you guys remember, and they've gone to hell, so I give up. Copic just needs to make a black set, like this one. This was their special 25th anniversary edition, and it's the only one that actually looks clean-ish of all my markers. The white is just murderous if you're trying to actually be a tidy human. Oh, are you serious? Because I haven't gotten any notification to let something in, Kylie. All right, here goes. So I'm starting with R24, which is prawn tone. And I already started this. So I was working on this at the con. And I'm literally just adding the prawn, which is the lightest, kind of more deep orange tone onto it. And I'm basically re-wetting the whole thing. And because this does not need to be super smooth, I'm not worried about it. I wouldn't do something like this on skin tone. Whether I had time or not, I will finish the face, regardless of what's going on, unless there's like somebody's having a massive accident or some emergency happened. I will finish the face or skin. Just that will happen. For something like this, it's not that important, and I can actually re-wet it later, which is exactly what I'm doing now. So I re-wet it, and now I can start adding in the color again. But for something like this, having a little bit of extra texture is better, in my opinion. Oh, so sorry, Kylie. Oh, yes. For something like that, Mr. Freytag, I would. So in any case where if there's going to be dark color around a skin tone goes down first. Her gloves are going to be, I think that they're either going to be black or a really dark tan color, so I'm not too worried about it. But with skin, yeah, 100% always do the skin before you do the surrounding colors, so that you're not pulling those colors into the skin accidentally. It's pretty much impossible to be absolutely perfect when it comes to stuff like that, like, you know, to never go near the line. You can't even touch the line. You can't go near it with Copic if you're doing a light tone next to a dark tone. So just do the light tone first. Okay, I have a picture of a fire hydrant, which I would like to look at. The Calgary fire hydrants currently are a very odd neon yellowy green. They're not lime, they're not yellow, and they're not green. They're kind of a mixture of all said tones, and they are very bizarre. So I talked with the guy, and he said that red is also acceptable. So happiness, because I didn't like that color, and I don't think that Copic even makes that color. Yes, that's right, and that's nothing against Copic. Copic is literally doing its job to blend things properly. It's just not helpful when you don't want those two colors to blend. All right, time to start time lapse. All right, so I'm using R39. To start putting in a few of the shades. So I've kind of got the light source coming this way, which means it'll be hitting here on the fire hydrant and about here on her body. And then this side will be more in shadow. Oh, that's interesting. I like that. That's so clever. Jane. Hey, Slappy Octopus. T-Quick. Hi. Yep, I agree, Kylie. The best I've found so far is makeup cases. Oh, shoot, I went off the lines and it actually matters there. Yeah, makeup cases are the best I've been able to find so far. Basically, you know, the makeup industry is kind of kicking the art industry's ass. Oh no, I'm so sorry, Kylie. I understand, Tony. I totally do. I was trying to, you know, a couple other artists have asked me what I'm using as far as my Copic set. And yeah, I'm like, well, if you go into Victoria's Secret and you get their makeup case or their toiletry case, and as soon as those words come out of my mouth, their face just drops and is like, really, Dawn? Yeah, but Kylie, if they're covered in bling and they have hearts all over them, you know, I can see how some guys wouldn't be too thrilled. Oh my god, that's so awesome, Tight Assets Van City. Your name is awesome too. That's hilarious. Thank you so much for coming to see me at the expo. So now I'm just putting the darkest tone in there and just doing a little bit to add some good contrast here. So I'm not using my darkest red, I'm using one that's called Cardinal. I'm just gonna add a little bit more here too. High contrast is what helps make metal things look metal because they have a slick surface. So there are places that would really catch the light. So in order to show it catching the light on something that's, say, red, you want to have some good dark in there. Yeah, travel or also toiletry bags can work too. I know one artist that uses a lunchbox for her Copic markers. Here we go with the squeak squeak. There's probably going to be a lot of refilling happening on this live stream for sure. Tupperware is what you use? Oh my god, Mystery, I'm so sorry. Yay, that's so awesome, Tight Assets. So first thing I'm doing is just getting the shading in for the body of the hydrant overall right now. And then I'll start putting in the indentation shading. And then I plan at the very end to put some highlights and deeper shadows with colored pencil. I use a type of paper called Cougar Digital Smooth. And you can get it here. You'll probably just have to go to a actual printer place, you know, because you can't find this paper at art stores, but I really, really love this paper. However, you can go to Michael's and get any kind of Bristol board with a vellum surface. And that just means the smoothness of the paper. With Copic marker, the best thing to do is to work with smooth paper. So yeah, I would recommend that. You live in Bristol? That's awesome. All right. There we go. Oh, possibly, Kylie. I'm pretty sure, at least here, vellum is the smooth surface. So I'm just going to let it trail off at the bottom here. All right, we are almost done with all the red. I'm going to need to refill this before I do any more of this as the base tone, but I'm hoping I can push it. I don't think so. All right, so I have to fill it up. Smooth is plate or smooth, and vellum is, wow, that's so odd. Yeah, here if you do smooth vellum or just vellum, it's like super smooth. It's odd. All right, so here is my little refill dealio. The paper that I use is smoother than Bristol, yes. Okay, quick refill. Paper goes back. Much better. All right, now I can fill this up real quick. Hello, Dark Fox. Okay, so I did try to keep the lines aligned, and I just used a ruler to know where everything was going to be. So these are the indented areas. Okay, right, there we go. Go. Yes, I will, Tony. I got the right paper, so I'll do that sometime soon. Because, yeah, I want to test it to see if it'll work nicely as background tones for the Medusa story that I'm working on next. So I definitely want to give it a good run through and see how it takes. Hello, Melvin. Yes, I think it will, Kylie, as long as I give the stuff enough time to dry. You know, I mean, all of this is just completely gonna be an experiment, but yes, my opinion is that once Copic has been sitting on plastic long enough, it actually just feels like more plastic. So I'm rubbing old Copic paint right here, and it's on a plastic plate, and it's dried completely solid. It's like part of the plastic now almost. Think it feels like varnish when it's dry. So I have a feeling it'll kind of work like that. I just got to give it enough time to dry. Yes, Dark Fox, I do work on comic book covers. And I work on one series called Divinica where I do the interior art and the covers as well. you know, that's a good point, Kylie. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. Okay, so that part is complete. I think I'm going to need to move this up a little bit. It wasn't quite catching everything. And this is going to wig people out. But we're just going to have to do that. All right. I'm doing great, Keeman. I hope you're doing good as well. All right, so that red part is done. I'm going to do her red helmet now, just so we can get a lot of the red done. And I want to see how these two reds actually look together. I don't know. I might need to do a different colored helmet. He has a, let's see, helmet, yellow, red, black, or white. I might do a different color because it's not going to match with her hair. So what I'm going to do, this is the 0, and I'm actually going to erase this. Granted, it can also just look like a strand of her hair, so it's not the end of the world, but at least if I lighten it a little bit and kind of push it away, it'll be a little bit better. And then I'll just let this area dry. So I might either go black on her helmet or even white. Justin, hello! All right, well, I've done enough warm up. Let's get to the skin. So I'm gonna make sure that my skin tones have enough color in them. So these are the colors that I use for skin tone. I have 2 E41s because these are my base tones and I keep a backup. And then I use E42, E43, and E70 for the shadowy parts. All right, so let's do the refills. No, that's funny, DC. Let's see how E42 is. Yeah, it's probably a little dry. I just don't want to start skin with the possibility of it getting dry while I'm trying to refill, because that really doesn't work. Oh, I have a tray, Tony. Okay, so here we go. Let's get some coloring done. I have my dab pad just in case anything drips, and let's get to some arting. 1 second, I'm looking for something. All right. So this I'm going to be keeping close at hand. And I'm going to get a fresh one just to be uber safe. So these are all these little napkins. Anytime I come across a napkin that is this particular type of paper, which I have no idea what it is, but it's thicker, I snag them. So I have a bunch of these, and I'm going to have a fresh one right here, right next to where I'm going to be working to keep for any drips from my Copic markers. So let's get all of these ready. I'm gonna have them, I keep them popped open on the brush tip side because that's just my preference. It's not any commentary on which one is better. I just personally prefer using the brush tip. It really depends on what you like better. I don't think that there's a right or wrong on this. I just find them a little bit easier to work with. And I've got the dab pad here to take off any excess tone. And then I'm gonna get to coloring. Now, because the light is coming from the right-hand side, I'm gonna keep that in mind as I'm putting in the base tones. Hello, Juan. Oh, thank you, Philip. Oh my God, that was just like the bottom of the coffee, and it was like all this like thick goop of instant coffee grounds. Ugh, that was so gross. True story, Kylie. Oh my God, it was so bad. It's gonna take me a minute to get over that. Okay, so you guys are gonna see more Dawn stalling because this is what I do. And I am going to start with her arm and work up courage to the face. Lol. So I can go over the lines here, and I don't care one tiny little bit because I'm going to be doing it with navy blue. And navy blue, of course, is considerably darker, so it's going to cover up any overhang of the skin tone. And as we know with Copic markers, they dry lighter than how they look when they are first applied. So this does look quite dark, but this is the darkest tone the lightest tone that I use for skin normally. I've tried finding a lighter tone than the E41, but none of them are quite right. Like, they just don't quite work. And then some of the other skin tones, I don't know, to me they're just like too pink or too orange. And so right now I'm still just sticking with these color tones that I have. So this is E42, which is the next one. And I'm just gonna be putting it into the darker areas where her skin would be in a bit of a shadow. And then I'm going to blend it out with E41 again. And I'll look up in a second to see your guys' comments. I just have to get this blended before it dries. So when I'm doing Copic coloring, it does seem like I'm being a little bit more rude or not paying attention to you guys, and I do apologize for that. But it's because Copic marker is, for all intents and purposes, a alcohol ink. So think rubbing alcohol with dye in it. And it dries so fast. And so what happens then is you can't really blend anymore. Once it's dried, it's locked. There's nothing you can do. And then when you try to blend it afterwards, you're going to get a really smudgy, streaky looking situation, which I personally don't care for. So that's why I'm not looking up right now and seeing your comments, but I will shortly. There we go. And a lot of firefighter men and women are all quite strong. So I'm not being shy with giving her very strong looking body, which I respect. I know how hard it is to get that. So I'm letting her have pretty strong situation going on. There we go. So I haven't done her pendant here, but I'm gonna go ahead and color all her skin in and then put the pendant in afterwards. All right, should we go for the stomach? When I'm working on the stomach, I am literally not gonna be able to look up at all. So is there something that anyone has any questions about? Which reds am I using here? Okay, Sloppy Octopus, I'm gonna show you them and then I guess just screen grab it. These are the reds that I use. Yeah, here we go. R24, R46, R39, R59, R89. Did you get it? All right, hopefully, yep, you got him. Okay, perfect. All right, so now I'm very much not gonna look up because I need to get this, and we're just gonna cross fingers. Stomachs are the hardest to color in my opinion. All right, let's see. I'm gonna see if there's any color I have that is lighter. Why are 4 zeros? Yes, this is the one that I was starting to use, but it's just not the right tone. Maybe E4 zeros. 1 second, everyone. I'm just trying to figure something out. No. See, anything else, it's just too pink. And then what happens is it doesn't mix properly with the actual skin tone that I use. So they don't really make it in the right, they don't have a color that's the perfect jump down from what I use. There is, Tony, yeah. Okay, well, here goes. Oh, thank you so much, Ido. Yes, I agree with Kylie. That's kind of how it is. These are more like a beige tone. And then the warm grays are very much a warm gray. They have like the slightest hint of a brown to them, and they only look brown when you see them next to a cool gray, for instance, or another gray tone. Oh, thank you. Alrighty. Yep, drum roll time. So I'm not going to look up now for a while, everybody. But that's fine. You know, if you have questions about the Copic marker colors, Kylie's got my back. She knows which ones I use. So Kylie, please feel free to just answer on my behalf on Copic marker colors. And then for everything else, just wait. If someone asks a question and they didn't hear me saying that I'm not looking up, can somebody just let them know that I'll catch up and answer questions as soon as I'm done with this part? Please and thank you. So I'm actually going to go back and forth here. Possibly. I'm going to see. So I might actually do half the stomach now and half the stomach after, just so that I can get a smooth blend going on here. So I'm not going to leave any sections white. She's going to be a nice tanned lady, because that it does end up causing some situations like that. I've seriously considered, like Tony was asking about the warm grays, I have actually considered going back to just using warm grays for skin tone, because in my opinion, I don't really care for the skin tones that Copic has, nor do I have a full enough range in the tones that I personally like to get the right color. But when you're working with warm grays, you have the complete range and they're all in the exact same shade. So I have very much considered many a time just saying fuck it to the actual colors and going to warm grays with Copic marker for skin. And I may do that at some point because I only have 3 colors really that are in the exact same range with one another. And with skin tone, it's a little bit tricky to try to start adding in other colors. They kind of, if they aren't at the perfectly matching shade, what happens is you're going to end up with weird muddy spots where it kind of starts to look almost like gray, where the colors cancel each other out. Whereas that doesn't happen when you're using the warms. So like Harley's skin or Lady Death's skin are so nice and easy to color because they're all the warm grays and cool grays. So you can really get the proper tone in there without causing any muddy situations. So that's something I've very much considered, is just going back to the warm and the cools for skin tone. And then maybe adding in some like shading or color with colored pencil afterwards. Anyway, it's just something I've been considering. Okay, so while it's still a little bit wet, I'm going in. And this, my friends, is why I keep 2 E41s, because when you have a big section of skin like that, you run out. And this way I can switch without having to stop and refill, which would literally ruin the skin completely. It would all be dry by the time I came back. Okay, getting some E42 going on in here. So this side is facing slightly away from the light, and then this side over here would just in a slight sliver be catching the light. So I'm trying to get that shown in here. And I'm going to blend it out with E41. And this is where the rib cage is, right? So I want to show the rib cage and then the hip bones. And I'm blending back out with E41, just make sure everything has a smooth transition. And back to some more E42 over here, but just a little like single pass of E42. And then I'm going to put more here to just show that hip bone. And blending it out a little bit right here. Okay, now E43 I use very sparingly, and I'm dabbing it off on the dab pad. And then this I blend out with E42. And then I'm taking E41 right there to kind of smooth the transition. Thank you, Kylie. I can see that you put something there. And everyone, what Kylie said, I asked her to. I will look up very soon as I can. And thank you all for joining in on the stream. There's just something with Copic Marker where you can't stop. And on something like skin, you don't want some weird lumps and bumps, so I will look up very soon. So her skin is still wet right now, and I'm doing my first pass of a little bit of shadow right here from her pants. The second pass that I'm going to do is actually once it dries, and I'm intentionally going to do another pass of like that shadow right there when it's dry so that it'll have a nice sharp shadow line. Right now it's going to blend a little bit and kind of smoosh out, which is good. I want the smoosh first and then the sharp after. And you do the sharp once the Copic marker has dried so that it stays nice and sharp. Right now it's going to carry on blending into the wet skin tone. So right now I'm using E70, which is kind of a purpley tone, but it somehow does really well in the shadow areas of skin. Okay, so I think the skin is about as good as I can get it. All right, so here we go. This is the dab pad that I've been using, and I've been dabbing off this whole time. Probably, Mr. E. Okay, so I'm gonna check now if anyone has asked anything that they need to, that they would like me to see or answer. Please feel free to repost it so that I can catch your question. And thanks for covering for me, Kylie. Oh, yay, I'm so glad it helped. Okay, I'm just checking. Steve, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Cameron Patrick, thank you so much. Thank you, Kylie. So if for some reason, once it starts to dry, there's any spots that, I don't know, look a little too mottled or aren't quite as smooth as I would like them to be, I can go in. I won't go over it with Copic again, but I can go in with some colored pencil. The catch with colored pencil is when, for some reason, it looks really nice here in person when I hand the commission, but scanners kind of enhance the textury look to them. So they don't quite match they don't match with the Copic. Your eye doesn't notice it, but the scan really does. So I try to be careful with colored pencil and use sparingly, only where desperately needed. So it can kind of catch my back or have my back a little bit at the very end for finishing touches, for highlights, shadows, any last little bits. But you gotta use it sparingly and know where to use it and where not. It's a tricky one. Thank you, Mr. E. Thank you all so much. I was very nervous about this stomach. I really beat around the bush until getting to that. I have some, Kylie. I've never really used them. I don't know if it would work with this this particular type of colored pencil because it's quite a bit more waxy. But yeah, it's a good thought. I should try that. All right, so now I'm gonna start moving on and work on this part, and then it's the face. Whoop, whoop. So trusty dab pad is here. Now, I was a little overly excited about doing her hair that I didn't kind of realize that her hair is all around her skin. So I did exactly what I've been telling you guys not to do, and put a darker color right next to skin tone. So, Bad Dawn. It's what happens when you're itching too much to do some fun little part, and then you need to actually do the skin tone. So, we're going to try very hard to not royally screw this entire situation up. And I think because this would be right up against a shadow, I'm actually not gonna color right up to the hair to play it safe. So I'm leaving about 0.5 millimeters gap between where I'm coloring and where the hair begins. And I'm gonna work in small areas because small areas are much easier to work in than that, which was a challenge and a half. All right, so I have kind of learned a few little techniques with the boobage area. And you kind of start at the neck and you go down. Okay, you gotta be careful around that. but you let it go lighter as it's reaching this area. And then you kind of go in a completely different direction. Like right here on the chest is where most girls will catch a lot of light, right here. But then you do want to have some shadowy areas to show the cleavage. And so then I just make it go out like that. But you want this area right here to remain light. So you just go in and just pick up your brush as you're heading out over the boob to get that nice roundy booby area. And you can kind of do the same thing on the other side, but not too much. If you're trying to make the person look natural and they're not like, you know, a triple E boob, you go a little lighter on the other side. Slash almost don't do much at all. And you just keep it to the one side that's facing away from the light, and then you get a nice soft looking boob area. Like so. Now this is my lightest color, so I actually might have to bring in a little bit of one of my really light other colors. So I'm using YR40s here, which can catch me in a spot where I need something light to work as a transition tone. It's not perfect, so it's a little bit more pink, but it's good enough for a situation like this where I really don't want it to be all that dark. But I can't make it look like it's a completely different body than down here, so that's actually something for me to keep in mind. So I can actually go a little bit more shaded here. Okay, so I'm not going all the way to the hair there. So I'm gonna use E41 all the way because I realized how dark I made her stomach. And if I try to go too light, it's gonna look like the top of her body is not the same person as the bottom part of her body. And I'm gonna take care of the same shadowing that I was just telling you guys with E42. So then we're gonna go in like that. And it's actually easier this way. And then I just take it out with the E41, like so. Again, a little bit more E42. So I'm kind of going between E41 and 42. Clock Fox, thank you so much for the raid. You guys are awesome. How are you all doing? It's time for a nightly raid. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Kylie. Yes, I'm using Cougar Super Smooth Paper. And for everyone that's new, my name is Dawn McTeigue, and I am working on a commission of a firefighter, a female firefighter. And right now I'm working with Copic Markers. And so the reason why I'm not looking up is because Copic Markers are not very forgiving. If you let them dry while you're working on them, you can't blend anymore. So I'm just trying to get the blend in correctly, and then I will look up and say hello to everybody. But thank you so very much for the raid, Clock Fox. So right now I'm putting in the shadow, and I am definitely going close to her hair now. There we go. I'm using E43 to get in a few more shadows. And then I'm going to blend it out with E42. There we go. Okay, so now her chest is done. I feel like there's enough highlight and then shadow that it carries on and continues in and still looks like the same person. Galaxy Artworks, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, good night, Agent Nerd, are you leaving? Oh, thank you so much, Clock Fox. You're awesome. I so appreciate it. And I'm sorry I couldn't look up right away. I explained the whole thing with Copic markers. They don't look very good if you let them dry and then try to color with them and color over it. But anyway, this is what I'm doing. I'm working on a firefighter commission for a local firefighter here in Calgary, Canada, where I live. And he has been on my wait list for 3 years. Noctopus, is that what it says? Thank you so much for the follow. I really, really appreciate it. So, for everyone new here, my name is Dawn McTeigue. I am a comic book cover and interior artist. I am primarily a penciler by trade, but a lot of the pieces that you can see cycling through on my little slideshow right there are only penciled by me, and then a lot of them now are colored by me either traditionally with Copic marker and watercolor or digitally, which is something I am new to, is digital coloring. Yes, I have a 3-year wait list. That is correct. I'm trying to get through my commission list faster, but as a full-time working in comics person and a mom of 3, I don't have a lot of spare time to work on commissions. And commissions are mostly like they're my free time, fun thing to do. Like I'm doing today on Sunday. This is happiness. This is playtime. Copic markers and a firefighter commission. This is so much fun. But I don't always have time to get through them. Deadlines always come first. But I made my deadline, and as such, I can color. Rocks 2009, thank you so much for the follow. Yes, Tony Lewis, I am self-taught / peer-taught. There are a lot of artists in comics that I have deeply admired for years, since I was in my teens. And thankfully, they have helped me by giving me, one-on-one little art classes, or giving me reviews on some of my work, telling me, okay, well, this little thing, I was seeing what you do and maybe change that up a little bit. That kind of stuff really, really helps. And also, I do buy tutorials online from Gumroad, things like that. I do buy those, and I can learn a lot from other artists. So I would say it's a mixture of self-taught / peer-taught. Okay, so I think we're all caught up. Thanks to everyone who has followed me and who joined me with ClockFox. I appreciate raids. I love them. And please feel free to stick around. I have Philip here has put a bunch of the please subscribe to my email list. I do not have a subscription situation going with my Twitch. Twitch is just kind of what I do while I'm working anyway, but if you're interested in hearing more about my work, and I talk a lot about just the process of being in comic art, subscribe to my email list. Please and thank you. All right, so here we go. Let's continue on. We need to do this back arm and her face, and then we're done with skin tones, and we can move on to other things. Yeah, Philip is really on top of things. Okay, I'm trying to read this. Citri, is that what it is? Citri Draws, thank you. All right, so for everyone who has just been adding in and is interested in Copic markers, these are the colors that I am using for skin tone. These are not the Copic recommended skin tone colors. I personally prefer a slightly more beige tone to skin, so I kind of made up my own little skin tone set. I wish that I had a wider range of colors that matched with these ones, but so far I haven't been able to find any. So I have these 4 are my primary ones, and when I'm doing the face, I also use R00, which I put down first. It's like a blush tone. So these are the ones that I use. If you have any questions about Copic coloring, feel free to place them in here and tag me so that I see it. But when I'm working on a place like this with the face where it's so important, I can't look up while I'm working on it. So just wait until I'm done and then ask me the questions. Oh, that's so great. Thank you, Citri. Clock Fox, that means so, so much. Thank you. All right, so adding R00 as a blush tone is kind of new to me. I actually haven't been doing I haven't been doing this for very long. I pretty much just stick to my beige tones, but it does look very nice if done right. A lot of colors with Copic marker, the blends don't work unless they're in their like little color family. They can kind of cancel each other out. So it's one of those things you want to be a little bit careful with. And I'm always a little nervous adding in the blush tone, but I'm gonna try it this time. Eric, as far as the release date, excuse me, I'm not entirely sure. We're still planning it, and I will make sure to email everyone when the Twitch party is going to be happening. I will send around an email to everyone who's on my subscription list, and we will plan a whole big Twitch party with amazing raffles and all kinds of fun stuff. So anyone who hasn't subscribed to my email list, make sure that you do, because we announce Twitch parties via that email list. And sometimes I do sketch giveaways, speed draws, all of that stuff is done and announced via the email list. All right, see you later, Clock Fox, and thank you again for the raid. All right, so we are just going to start with pink here. Whoop, whoop. I have no idea if this is going to work right, but, you know, there's one way to find out. And again, I'm not going right up to the edge. So if anyone has any questions regarding what Copic colors I'm using or any comments, you can either post them in there, and Kylie Knight, who knows a lot about Copic marker as well, will answer them for you. Or if it's something for me specifically, I will look up when I'm done coloring her face. So it might be a few minutes. But if you're new and you've just joined in, thank you so much for joining in on the stream. And I will look up as soon as I'm able to. So I'm still using E41 right now, which is like my base tone color. Okay, now I'm switching to E42, and I do have a dab pad for any possible excess color. Okay, and now I'm using E41 to blend that out. under her hat right there is going to be quite in shadow, so I'm not too worried about it. All right, I need to blend this out a little bit more. So I'm gonna fill all of that one more time. I'm just gonna do one more pass over this whole area. There we go. Because it just needs to be a little bit more even. I'm gonna add in a little bit more blush here. Okay, and now we're gonna get some E42 into her cheeks. Especially because right here is actually gonna be under her hair. So right there would have a little bit more of a shadow going on. And I'll put more shadow around her eyes once I'm done with the skin in general. Okay, now I'm using E41 to blend it out. Okay, and a little bit more E42. I'm done with the blush, so I'm just going to go between these two now. Some E43. I'll look up soon to catch up on all the comments and questions. All right, so now I'm blending out the E43 with E42. Okay, and let's get a little bit of E41 to do one final little blend right here. And I'm trying to enhance that crease on her eye right there to show that she's sort of looking down a little bit. All right, so I'm sure you guys can see that her forehead is not finished yet. And I don't need to worry about that a ton because her forehead is going to have a pretty major shadow going on right there from the rim of her hat. So just a little, I don't want it to be, she's just got a little bit of a smile, so I don't need to really enhance that crease right there, just a tiny, tiny bit. All right, so now we're gonna get into this part. And because it's a helmet and it's gonna be making a pretty sharp line right there, I actually intentionally left this part light so that it shows the highlight right there. But then on this side, it would go down a little bit more and soften out. Okay, E42 again. And then I'm going to go in with E43 at the very end. Oh, thank you, Firehose YYC. All right, and I'm almost done, everyone who might be waiting for me to answer any questions you had. I apologize for not looking up right now, but I will shortly. So Mr. Firehose YYC is the person who's getting this commission. The extremely awesome patient man who's waited such a long time. Okay, her face is done. Whoop, whoop. All right, just so that it doesn't look weird, I'm gonna just quickly rush through her neck because it's kind of bugging me. So 1 second, everyone. Thank you all so much for your patience. So there's one tendon in your neck right here. So that part is catching a little bit more light, but now I'm gonna put in the darker shadows. So like right behind here, it would be pretty dark. Under her chin is of course gonna be quite dark because I'm trying to show light sources this way. Like that. Okay, and I'm just going to blend it out with a little bit of E42. And one little pass of E41 right there. Okay, now it's done. And I still haven't colored in her lips yet, but I will, never fear. But I just want to catch up right here. Oh, I'm so glad you find it calming, Steve. Yay! Oh, I'm so glad that you're finding the shading helpful. Okay. Tony, thank you for subscribing. And Kylie, thank you so much for having my back on all of this while I was coloring. You are amazing. Gabriel, hello. Okay. So I want to work on the lips next. I know that means I'm putting down the skin tones, but I use what is technically Copic's skin tone set. I use it as lip color. So I use, let me find them, I use E11 and E13. Technically, these are in the skin tone set. Sombrias, thank you so much for the follow. So these are in the Copic skin tone set. My preference is not to use these as skin tone, but to use them as lip color, because in my opinion, they have a beautiful natural lip, and I am into natural lip tones. That's just, I prefer the like darker eyes, natural lip. Otherwise, if you do for makeup, kind of the rule of thumb is if you're gonna wear darker eyeshadow, you have a natural lip. If you're gonna wear a dark lip tone, you go lighter on the eyes. So I am the type that prefers to go darker on the eyes, natural on the lip. So I'm gonna do these two colors for lip tone. And as always, dab pad at the ready, because as anyone who's known me for any length of time, really, I overfill my markers. That is my #1 fault as a Copic colorist, is I overfill them because I don't like having to refill them very often. That's right, you can get the lip tones when you buy your makeup bag, Tony. Oh, yay, thank you, Kylie. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so I always start with E11. So we're just gonna put that in. I'm just a little concerned that I have overfilled this one, so I'm really dabbing it out. The last thing I need is a giant splooge on her face. Oh, thank you, Keeman. Okay. So, I don't like to ink in the full lip. So I'm pretty much drawing the lip shape right now as I'm coloring it. And that's just a personal preference thing. I'm not a huge fan of black lines around the lip. It's also kind of like, you know, the thing for any one of you who were around in the late 90s and early 2000s, which a lot of you are very young, so maybe you were 4, who knows. But the in thing for a little while was to use lip liner and have your lip liner really visible and then kind of do a lighter color inside your lips. That is so not the thing to do now. And I hate it so much that I just can't even bring myself to ink a full line around the lip. It just can't do it. And I totally did the brown lip liner too. So, you know, I can't claim that I was really on point all those years ago. I've just come to really hate it now. Maybe because in my soul, I'm just so ashamed that I like took part in that icky trend. And so I'm leaving the highlight by omission. I'm not coloring in that white spot. You liked it on Girls Jedi? I do know what I did back then. You were 6? Oh my God. It was the 90s. So I'm doing a lot of the shading just with E11. And I'm still using the exact same marker, and I'm just coloring over itself, just layering it on top of layer. I will use the E13, which is the darker tone, but only at the end and only where necessary, because I really like a soft, natural lip. Of course, there are some characters that have red lip, and it's part of their basically it's part of their persona is to have like a deep red lip, like Lady Death, for instance. Whenever I do a commission of her, I always give her red lip, because that's part of her character, is to have, you know, the very pale skin and the bold lip. So it really depends on the character. But when I have the freedom to kind of do what I feel like doing, which I can here. Thank you. Mr. What was it again? Firehose YYC. I like to do natural lip. Oh, ink splat. No, that one was done with That was digitally colored by a good friend of mine called Sabine Rich, and she is an incredible digital colorist. So I penciled that piece. I drew it, she colored it. All right, so I am really taking my time here, but I believe a well done lip really makes or breaks the character. So excuse me while I go a little nutty here. All right, so I'm gonna wait until this dries now, and then I'll put in the full shadows afterwards, like, you know, any of the deeper tones, because this one will work really well as the deeper tones, but it will only work once it's dried. I think green, Kylie. Piglet, hello! And that's actually a good point. Let's get the eyes done. So I'm gonna start with 0.05, and we'll just see if that's enough. It might not be thick enough, but I'm gonna start here. Oh, interesting, Scott. I really do care. I'm glad you like my technique. You know, everybody has their own way of doing it, you know, and I'm so glad you like mine. Yay! Hello, Fusion George. I'm so glad you like it, Inksplat. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to use, for now, I'm going to try these two colors for the eyeball. So the white of the eye is not white. I use cool grays. So they're kind of gray with a blue undertone. And the reason why I don't use full white for it is because then you can put the pops of light on the eye. So you can go back in and put some white in there, and then the eyes look like they're shiny. They've got that nice gloss to them. Because eyes, when you look in someone's eyes in a room where there's a lot of light, for instance, there's lots of different little spots where they catch the light and it's just this brilliant white shine. And that makes the eyes look more realistic, in my opinion. Oh, thank you so much, Fusion. You're awesome. Which ones did you get? Oh, yes, Piglet. You weren't here at the beginning of this one, but you would have seen me kind of working around and slowly working up courage to doing her stomach, for instance, which was very, very scary for me. On the inside, I was shaking a little bit. Oh, thank you, Fusion. You're awesome. All right, so that is the 2, and now I'm going to use the 3. And I use the cool gray number 3 to do a shadow under the lid and the lashes. I feel that it makes the eyes look a little bit more realistic if there's a shadow line under the lashes. So I'm using the cool gray number 3, and I pretty much use this exact same color every time. And it's just a line right under where the lashes are, because they are so big and fluffy that they will definitely be casting a little bit of a shadow onto the eye. Now this one isn't a particularly close-up piece, so I don't need to worry about it a ton, but whenever I am doing a close-up piece, I will use like either the R00, which is what I use for the blush tone, or even the colors I use for the lip tone, and I color in the tear duct area with a little bit of pink. I might do it here, I might not. It might be one thing too many. I'm gonna think about that. But let's go into the greens for her eye. So this is my hex chart. I love this, can't recommend it highly enough. This you can get from sandyalknock.com. So Sandy, all, and then knock.com, and it's her hex chart, and she made this whole thing that has all the Copic colors grouped together in their shade, because Copic's actual coding system for the numbers that they give their markers, it goes way over my head. There's some technical reason why they do it that way, but the colors don't always match. You can't do 2, 3, 4, 5 and they're all in perfect shade. That only works in the gray tones, not in the colors. So this thing is amazing. And I want to do G12 and G12 and maybe YG45 are the 2 colors I'm going to use. So G12 and YG45. No, those are a little too blue-green, and that's not a very natural looking tone. I'm going to do G43 and YG63. Where's G43? Here we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm just doing a quick test on these to make sure I didn't overfill them. The last thing I need is green on her face. Okay, so this is the lighter tone. It's G43. And I'm darkening completely up here at the top. And then I'm doing the outer rim. So it's just so, ever so light. And with eye tones, it's very rare that someone has, unless they're wearing contacts, an extremely saturated color in their eyes. They're more a grayish tone of that color. So I try, even though I'm doing green here, I didn't use these brilliant bright greens. I use ones that are a little bit more on the gray side, and then it looks a little bit more natural, in my opinion. And I don't fill in the full black part of the eye. Like, I don't make it a perfect circle. And the reason why I don't do that is because they can kind of look like they have crazy eyes, you know? So like for Harley, I'll do that where I'll fill it in completely and then it gets that like crazy eyed look, you know? For a character that's supposed to look a little bit more peaceful and calm, I'll fill in portions of the black part of the eye and then fill in the rest with the darkest tone that I'm using. And it kind of softens that look and doesn't give you the like crazy eyes. Yeah, the crazy eye is real. So I use the crazy eye technique for Harley, for Joker, for things like that. But for a situation like this where the crazy eyes would throw you from the piece, you would think of her and she looks all sweet and then all of a sudden, crazy eye attack. So I'm a little cautious with that. And I will fill in where the actual black part of the eye is completely with the darkest color. But I won't fill it in completely with black. It can make you look a little scary. And then I just use this to get it going. I'll put in with the Sakura Jelly Roll in white, and I'll put in highlights. And I like them to kind of be covering different parts in the eye, kind of like that. I like them to kind of be used as bridging the gap between, say, the colored part and the white of the eye and things like that. It looks a little more natural. Like that. I'm gonna make this one a little bit bigger. There. So now her eyes look more real. They look like they've got light shining in them and stuff. And I think that really helps to make the character come alive. So I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. Let's zoom in. There you go. So you can see the whites. And I just used Sakura Jelly Roll. Okay, so now that her face is done, I'm going to work on the skin tone for the back arm. Ooh, fun, Kylie! And because this is the back arm, it really won't be catching much light at all. So I'm starting with the E41 like usual, but I'm really filling in. And then I'm going to be pretty generous with the 42 and the 43. Like that. And I want it to have that hard line to show that it's behind her body. Yes, Freytag, he will. Whoop, whoop. Oh, thank you, Tight Assets. Her lips are actually probably dry now, so I can add in that darker shade that I wanted to. Okay, so I'm using E13, which is the exact same tone I used for her lips already, but I'm just going to do the break between her upper lip and lower lip. Just give it a little bit more shadow. And now that it's dry, it'll stay in place a little bit better. It's not going to start blending in with the other parts. There we go. So some of these things are like barely detectable, but it always adds. Oh, yay. Thank you, Kylie. That's hilarious, Fusion. I have so many of these dab pads, like all filled to the brim. Check it out. It's like a weird Dottie Rorschach. Okay. Just getting any little bits of eraser shavings off. Good. All right. Now I need to figure out what to do next. So probably at the end, I'm going to go around her eyes and give her, I'm going to use the cool grays to give her a little bit more depth into her eyes. And I go into the cooler colors for said depth. I'll either use some of the BV tones that I have, which are kind of like a bluish purple, or I'll use the cool grays and just add that in at the very end. I won't do that now. And I might even use the cool grays for her navy blue shirt because I'll have a little bit more of a range I can work with. All right, but then her pants are going to be warm grays because they're like a grayish tan color. Oh, thank you, Piglet. Thank you, Tom. Yay. I was pretty nervous about doing her stomach. I am not gonna lie. It's a little bit nerve-wracking to do that big of a space. All right. So let me see about the shirt, because I would like to do the shirt now. I don't have my hex chart filled in for the cool grays because I figured I didn't need it. I already know the colors, but here we go. This is a pad of paper I got from some hotel I was staying at, so let's give some of these grays a try. That might not be navy blue enough. I think that's still too gray. Like, to me, that doesn't look like navy blue. But navy blue is a really hard color with markers. Sorry, Kylie. That's rough. Okay, let's try B95. I know I've tried to do navy blue before, and it's always been a little bit of a travesty whenever I do. So B95 looks too baby blue for this situation. Let's try B37. B37 works. B45 is too baby blue. B37, and then, what is that one? B39. Okay, let's try these. So B37 with B39. They don't quite mix. No, maybe it's fine. So I'm just trying to find a good gray here. Oh, see you later, Tony.
Not exactly clear whether they even truly exist.
Have fun getting your makeup bag. Yeah, so I think I can kind of blend these two. I don't need a highlight tone because a navy blue t-shirt isn't going to have a ton of highlight. If I need to, I can probably use a colored pencil tone for a highlight color. So I'm pretty much just going to use 37 and 39 as base tone and shadow. And here goes. So 37 is the one I'm going to fill it with. And the reason why I left the t-shirt for after all of this stuff is for the fact that it would just be too easy for me to pull that blue into the skin tone. So I'm doing it at the end. So I'm using B37 and B39. I don't, oh, okay, I have B29, but it's a little bit too, let me find it. Oh wait, maybe I haven't even put that on my chart. I haven't. Let's try B29. I hadn't seen that one. No, that's too psychedelic blue for what I'm trying to do. That's a little bit too bright. Okay. Oh, wow. Sorry, guys. I missed a skin tone spot right there, so I have to do that first. There we go. Yeah, navy blue is a really tough one for me. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm gonna have to be so careful around the hair. And that is an unavoidable being careful because they're both dark tones. So they would conflict with each other no matter what I do. Hello, McBecca. Good night, True Deadman. All right, so I'm gonna have to be so very careful around here. I should have really thought about that before I colored that in, or before I drew hair coming down like that. It's gonna be really hard. Oh, cool, art teacher. That's awesome. Now I do believe I have an orange jelly roll pen, so I can probably do some of the hair strands afterwards as well. Okay, so with the shading, I want to make sure that I'm getting it so that the strokes are following the contour of her chest. Otherwise, it can start looking like she's got a weird concave boob or something, which I don't want it to look like she's got. That would look very odd. So I'm trying to make sure that even though I'm going around all these little hair strands, I'm still, for the most part, following the shape of her chest. It's a little bit tricky in here. Yeah, this is hard. Alright, so now I need to start smoothing out the skin tone. McBecca, thank you so much for the follow. This is why I love the brush tips so much, because you can get into all of those little nooks and crannies. He is 100% ready. So the colors of these two blues are not perfectly matching, but it works well enough. This is tricky. Usually at some point it doesn't make it so so dark with every pass. So this this color is very strong, and usually you can get it to where, you know, it starts blending, whereas this one, it just keeps getting darker and darker and darker, so I'm having such a hard time blending it. So at some point I might just have to be like, okay, it's good enough. All right, I'm sorry I haven't looked up, guys. This is proving a little bit more complicated than I was even prepared for, and I was prepared for it to be pretty complicated because navy blue in Copic marker is just not a color I have. All right, I'm gonna have to leave it right about there. Oh, good night, Piglet. Have a good one. Oh, hello, Peter Paul. It's nice to have you on the stream today. Okay, now I'm just going to use this one for a bit more shadow. So this is the darker shade that I have. And the colors are not a perfect match, but they work great if I just use this one as a shadow and I don't try to blend it in. I'm just using it in a few little spots to bring in some shadow or definition. So like right here, I need a good shadow for the axe. So I'm just gonna put that in right there. I missed a spot with the skin tone right there. So I literally might just do that with colored pencil so as to not accidentally pull blue into the skin. And then there's a couple spots that I think it's gonna need more shadow, like underneath where the t-shirt is. So I'll probably do that with colored pencil too, just to be safe. So you know what it is? It looks like there's enough shadow until you put a darker tone over the skin, and then you realize, okay, there's not nearly enough contrast in the skin to indicate a shadow compared to how dark this this blue color is. But that's fine, you know, little places like that, it actually works nicely to do it with colored pencil. I watched one Copic colorist on YouTube, and wow, he is really, really good with Copic colors. Like I learned something watching him, and at the very end, whenever he's done with his Copic piece, he always uses a black colored pencil and a white colored pencil to add in the harsher shadows and the highlight pops, and it looks really, really good. Okay, now I'm going to put in the darker shadows here. And I'm just using B39. And it's a very dark, but a little bit more of like a purplish blue. So the colors actually don't blend together well, but it works great as a shadow. Okay, I'm almost done. And then we can move on to a different color. There we go. Yay! Navy blue is done! Oh, thank you so much, Gabriel. Who was the artist you were watching with Copics? Oh my goodness, I wish I remembered his name. I'm so bad with names. I follow him on Instagram, so I'll try to see if I can find him and share his social information on like the link to his Instagram and YouTube and stuff in Boop Squad. I'm really sorry that I don't remember it offhand. He's from England, super young guy, like, I don't know, maybe late teens, early 20s, but just kick ass at all things Copic Marker. I was just like, oh my God. I was immediately put in my place, which was not in good standing compared to how good he was with Copic Marker. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just put in some of the shadows from the shirt that I feel need to be there because it's going to really bother me if it's not in right now. So I think I'm going to use these two tones. So they're both browns, and let's see how this goes. And or if it doesn't work quite right, then I'll use a Copic tone. You just need a ever so slight, thin little line to just give that illusion of depth between the shirt and the skin. And you really don't want too much of it because then it'll make the shirt look like it's thick, like sweater material. It's almost like so small of a line that you don't notice it unless you're looking really closely. But what it does is give that proper illusion of depth. That part is not dark enough in her skin, so it's not looking like it's her skin there. Let's try it with E71. So this is a like purple undertoned gray marker, pretty much. It's in the E family. It's called Champagne. And it works really nicely, I think, as a deep shadow. There we go. Hey Mark, welcome to the stream today. All right, I'm gonna get some of the cool grays. I'm gonna try C3 and C4 around her eyes. And it's just to give them a little bit more depth and shadow. And using a cooler tone generally helps with shadow because it looks cooler. It looks deeper and more set back. Whereas before I used to use browns for eyeshadow, just thinking like, well, you know, a lot of people wear natural eyeshadow tones and that'll look nice, but it wasn't giving the right depth to the eyes of any character I was working on. Whereas this tends to really help to give the eyes proper depth so they don't look like they're like sitting on a one-dimensional face, if that makes sense. There we go. So now our eyes look a little bit more inset. Let's put a little bit of that right here. "28 minutes. Oh my goodness, time flies. I didn't realize it was even remotely 7 yet. Oh, I'm having so much fun. It's gonna be hard to go. All right, thank you for the heads up, Philip. You are awesome. There is no marker called Tipsy, I don't believe. That would be fun though if there were. All right, I think I have, oh my goodness, I didn't save the picture of the firefighters. All right, I need to find the color of the pants. So 1 second, I'm gonna check for pant tone. Yeah, they're khaki. Well, you're awesome, Philip. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, I think though for the pants, just so that they're not in conflict with her skin color, I'm gonna use the warm grays for the pants. I think that that's gonna work the best and look at least different from her actual skin tone. I'm gonna start with warm 2 and then work up to some of the darker colors. That would be amazing, Kylie. Oh, hey, Eric. Welcome back. So this is the highlight color. So I'm really not too worried about this drying, just in case I end up having to go before I'm finished with the pants. This is the lightest tone, and I don't need the pants to be incredibly smooth anywhere, really. I mean, it would be nice if the legs are smooth, but again, having a little bit of texture is no big for these pants. So it's not like the skin where I have to be super concerned and cautious. So I'm still using warm gray number 2. And thankfully, because I'm using the gray set, I have a wide range of shades that I can use that aren't going to start making everything look muddy. I can really use the full range of 10 on this part, which is awesome. And I think compared to her skin and the reds in the whole piece, it does look khaki enough. Ask Griff, thank you so much for the follow. Yeah, I agree. Let me make sure I have a warm 2 before I really settle into using it. I do. Yes. I've had a hard time finding some of the warm grays, which is a little bit of a problem. And also because I have to fill the full pant, I may actually do it with the chisel tip. All right. And since I rarely ever use the chisel tip, I'm just reactivating it with a dot right on the chisel tip itself. And we're going to use it on this side and just fill away a little bit. Yeah, this will go a lot faster. And the knee pads are black, so I'm not going to worry about going into them at all because I'm going to be filling it with black. Titi Okwa. I don't know how to pronounce your name. TTOLQA1. Hello. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with the Twitch names. I always seem to be getting them wrong, so I apologize. So the chisel tip is really handy for filling big big sections like this. Now I'm leaving that lighter because I'm going to be going in with them darker colors now. Oh, don't worry about it. You're not interrupting, and thank you so much for being here. All right, so I'm going to do W4. And I want to try to get a lot of this, the shadows in before the pants start to dry. So I'm gonna need to probably add in some warm 3 right here to blend this a bit better. Hello, Painted Dreams. Oh, Link's Mistress, thank you so much. And yes, I signed up for New York Comic Con. I plan to be there. I just have to wait and see if my application is approved. But yes, for all intents and purposes, I will be hoping and praying that I get into New York Comic Con. And thank you for missing me. That's so nice of you. I definitely look forward to being there, and I'm hoping I can make it. Oh, it is? Hello, Easily Forgettable. It's not. You're awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to see you there, Link's Mistress. Please tell me who you are when I see you in New York Comic Con so I can connect the name to the face. Yes, Mark, I'm going to do my best to sign up for Dallas next year, since I skipped it this year. Oh, thank you, Link's Mistress. That's awesome. I wasn't liking how there was that highlight right there. So I'm trying to kind of get rid of that. It was just from the saturated marker. that made it so that one part of the paper was just too overfilled. So now I'm using a darker color, the warm 3, which is the next one up, to try to even some of that out. The paper is warping a little bit. But at least with Copic marker, it warps only initially, and then it evens out after. Oh, thank you so much, Link's Mistress. And thank you for being on my email list. You are awesome. Oh, I'm using between warm 2 to warm 5 right now. And I'm just kind of mixing or toggling between the 3 or 4. And I'm going to need to make that back leg pretty dark. Hey, Louie. Hey, Marwen. Marwen, thank you so much for the follow. Tight Assets and Link's Mistress, you guys are amazing. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, now I'm using warm 5. I might even go a little darker for some of these places. But for now, warm 5 and down are working fine. That's hilarious, Gabriel. Thank you for the host, Louis. Okay, worm 3. I don't know if you guys want me to like call out exactly which worm I'm using, or if it's just helpful enough to know whatever set of worms I'm using. So right now I'm using warm grays. Warm grays, and right now I'm using between number 3 and number 5. No, number 2 and number 5. So right now I'm using worm number 3. Okay, and now I'm going to switch to worm number 4 to get some darker shadow in where this leg is starting to go back behind and it's not catching the light. This one is catching the light and this back one is not. It's facing away from the light, so I need to start getting it a little bit darker. Now I'm blending it out with worm number 3. Soften some of the edges. And then I'm using worm number 4 again. Yes, more Copic bingo, that's right. I'm going to use worm number 3. I need to start dropping this side of her thigh back into shadow. So I actually need to put more shadow here. Hello, Brenos. I'm trying to read your name. Brenos SM, maybe? Thank you so much. Thank you. You guys are so very kind. Okay, now I'm going to use worm number 3 to blend the edges again right here. So I'm running into a situation where the paper is slightly oversaturated. So at some point I might have to give the paper a rest and come back at it, because I'm starting to end up with pools in places where the Copic marker is so saturated it's not really drying properly or setting as it should. And I've run into that a couple times with some of my pieces where like it's too full and like the paper is buckling. And sometimes it works if I just come back to it, or sometimes I have to switch to like colored pencil to put the highlight in correctly and stuff like that. And I don't really have a perfect explanation as to why that happens in some cases with some markers. But anyway, once it happens, I just have to kind of work with it and make adjustments in order to smooth it out afterwards. And because it doesn't happen always, it's always a little bit of a learning curve or process for me as far as what to do. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to be able to get the shadows in here properly because it's not really working for me at the moment. But everything is workable eventually. You can switch tools, you can adjust things, or sometimes just let it dry. And in the pants case, I'm not too worried about it being perfectly smooth. So sometimes I just let it dry and come back over it. Yeah. It's snowing. It was snowing like crazy yesterday, so there's snow all over the place here today. No, I don't. I know that for watercolor you tape down the paper. Oh, you mean like that. You know what? With Copic marker, it'll buckle like this, and then as soon as it dries, it'll flatten out completely. Like, you don't end up with that kind of warping that you do with watercolor and stuff like that. Copic marker never retains a warp. Like up here was pretty warped too, and now that it's dry, it's perfectly flat. So I just need to let it dry and give the paper a minute, and then I can come back and it should be just fine. I hear you, tight assets. I am done with the winter. It's been way too long. We need some warmth around here. It's really gone on long enough. I think we deserve a break. This is the coldest winter in 20 years. Oh my God. Seriously, fire hose? That's amazing. Wow, yeah, well, Florida is the whole thing. It's always nice and warm there compared to here, that's for sure. My parents used to live in Florida, so when it was like minus 50 here, my mom would call and be like, well, we're gonna go swimming now, or we had a wonderful day on the beach. Aren't you sorry you don't live here anymore? Always trying to make me feel bad for moving. And I know for a fact I'm gonna do the same thing to my kids, so no judgment on my mom for that one. I understand now. Random Freak, thank you so much for the follow. Oh, I'm sorry, Kylie. I've got to go eat dinner and get the kids ready for school tomorrow. Good night, Mr. E. So guys, I didn't finish up the pants today. And I've got to get back to cover work tomorrow. But I will, of course, let you know if I'm going to be finishing this one up on Twitch. I'll give notice and all of those good things, but I know that the paper needs a minute, so I'm going to give the paper a rest as well. So it is a good time for me to bid you all farewell. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me while I was working on this one. And I will, it's probably going to be something I'm not going to be able to like control myself and wait on the pants. I probably will finish those up off stream, but then I'll wrap up the rest on stream probably, and I will let you all know when that happens. But truthfully, this has been such a fun stream. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for your encouragement and kindness, and for your patience with me when I couldn't look up while I was working on the face and the stomach. You guys rock. It's been so much fun. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And since I've got to run, we won't do a raid today, but we will do one next time. Thank you all so much. Lots and lots of love to you. I hope you have a fantastic week. Oh, thank you, Mr. Freytag. You guys are amazing. All right, and I'll catch you all on Tuesday for the diaries email and also for another live stream. And I'll keep you posted if it's going to be working on a Lola cover or coloring this. I love you all. It was great to see you again, Justin, and all of you for being here. Thank you. Have a good week. Bye-bye.